Hello everyone and welcome to another update on Bionic. During the past week, I've been working as much as I could on having Bionic working on Windows as well as Linux. Linux was pretty much working. There was just a minor quirk to really make it work just fine. I think one of the hardest things actually on Bionic for Linux is to install Nugget, which is a dependency for Bionic. And I actually did a small installation, a small shell script that can help people installing Nugget in Linux. And you can see it here. It's just a very small script that will download Nugget and install it under user local bin Nugget exit and run and configure it to run under mono. And you can just install that straight out of this URL and run it on Bash for Linux. Anyway, this video is mainly about Windows support and how all that works on Windows. So I'm going to go through this installation for Windows in a minute. What else in terms of news? So Bionic Framework is now all available on its own space. This has already previously been announced. There's some tickets that have been opened. So if anyone wants to grab on any of the open tickets, you're more than welcome to do so. Most of the transition of my own space to the Bionic org space is done, and yeah, so a lot of documentation updates and some minor things. Another interesting thing that I want to mention is that, and I'm going to try to catch up with this, and I haven't had the time yet. So Andrew is actually working a very interesting approach to do Blazor interop by targeting the web IDLs from the browsers, and hopefully the goal here is that try to automate as much as we can the JavaScript interop to a browser device or to an exposed browser API. And I just want to mention this because I've been trying to get to this code, and Andrew did an amazing work, and I haven't been able to actually go further into what he has done so far. But hopefully this is going to also help Bionic, and if we ever get to this working, probably is going to end up living in some more commonplace like Blazor extensions or something like that. But a very interesting work from Andrew and Andre. Sorry, Andre, if I'm probably murdering your name. But hopefully I'll get to this soon as well and work with him on it. Regarding Bionic for Windows. So Bionic for Windows was a little bit harder to put it working, obviously due to the nature of the operating system. But not that much harder. I didn't really have a Windows machine readily available for me. In the meantime, I got one and installed the operating system and all that stuff, right? And so what you need for Windows? Well, you need to install the .NET Core SDK. You need to install the SAS compiler, and those are pretty straightforward. You need to download Nugget, and you need to put it available on the path as well. And that's pretty much it. Once you install Bionic, and because Windows really holds on, doesn't really allow you to get, take the rug under the application that you're executing. There are some things that will not work on Bionic for Windows, which is, for example, if you try to use Bionic and install, that's not going to work, because it's not going to allow you to remove an app that is currently being executed. So I need to figure out how to do that on Windows. But for everything else, pretty much everything is working. And yeah, so let's have a look on that. So let me just bring my VNC RDP thing in here to show this on Windows. And so let's open a terminal window in here. Alright, so the Bionic demo. Alright, so this has nothing in here. Let's go do, so we have .NET. Let's go do a .NET Blazor -o Bionic app. This generates the Bionic app. .NET build just to compile it. Oh, Bionic app. .NET build, and this should build that just fine. Okay. So Bionic is actually currently, before I continue, Bionic is on 1026. To install it, you install it just like it says on the Bionic page with, let me actually show that. .NET tool, you can install it by using an install -g Bionic if you don't like Bionic for whatever reason. And you can install it in exactly the same way, just by saying install. And so you should have 1026 if you that's the latest version currently. And so let's start Bionic in this project. Let's just open code here on the side. And you can also quickly reference the documentation if you need to. And if we do .NET run, and here is that. Okay, I'm not going to run Bionic Monitor for this presentation. I'll do that later on when I further integrate Bionic Monitor with Bionic itself. But for now, if you need it, you can always go into Bionic Framework CLI documentation, and if you want to have live reloading, you can read about Bionic Monitor, and you can get live reloading in there. I'm not going to do that for this presentation, but just so that you guys are aware that it's there. So I'm going to kill the server here, and we have our app. So what can you do with this? So for example, if you want to add a new component, we can just say Bionic generate component. Let's say greeting component. If I could spell greeting. And now Bionic also allows you to say, do not generate a style sheet. So I could just say -n or -- no styles. And in this case, I'm gonna generate the style. But yeah, so component now has that capability that allows you to choose if you want to add or not. This was actually requested by one of the Bionic users. And so now we should have a component in here that says greeting. And we can actually go into, say, the sorry, into the index, and maybe copy this line in here. Substitute this with, oops, greeting component. Save that. Having a hard time seeing where the cursor is. All right, So there's our gridding component. And if I now do .NET run, should build and display everything the same way. So if I change now, hello Bionic, build again, this can be all automated. Watch the video about Bionic monitor, but right now I'm just going to be focused on this. So there we go. So we have hello Bionic, the component generated through Bionic. You can also generate pages and layouts, etc. You can actually do Bionic generate, and you can see a list of component layout page, provider or service. They're pretty much the same thing. So I will go with it, and it's for the most part it's documented on the Bionic documentation page. There's a quick startup that goes through that with you guys if you want to get getting started here, and kind of generate other things. This was done for OS X, but it's exactly the same thing for Windows, except that the output, instead of displaying UTF icons, displays normal ASCII characters. And that's pretty much it in terms of difference with the commands with Linux and OS X. So we have the app working. We can generate components. What else can we do? So we can do Bionic platform. Say we want to, we don't have any platform currently added, as you can see in here. So the only command I have is add. And so I'm going to add, and there's two platforms that we can use. I'm going to start with Electron. And so this is now looking for the plugin. It has found the plugin, installs the plugin. And now if I do platform, I should see Electron added as a plugin. So platform, Electron, and the first thing we need to do with Electron is init. And you only need to do that once. So this is actually gonna create so let's see. So what that does is create a platforms directory, and then the platforms creates Electron and installs everything that it needs for Electron. Now, the next command that you need to do is to copy your current application to the Electron directory, and you do that through Electron build. So this is going to copy everything that you need from Blazor into the destination directory on Electron build. On the Electron directory. And now if I do Electron serve, this is going to start the serve. But there's going to be an issue here because all you're going to see is loading, and that's because of a small issue of the with Blazor and Electron not playing very well together, mainly Electron being funky really. But anyway, so it's easy to fix. The first thing you're going to want to do is index HTML, and where you see the base ref, you're going to do dot to look into the current contents instead of root slash. And then the next thing you want to do is to go into the index, which is our root page, and in there add another reference for index HTML, because Electron does not look at slash, it always looks at slash index HTML. Or at least that's the behavior that I've been noticing. I'm not an expert on Electron, so don't take this for granted. So we have made those changes in Blazor, so we need to do a .NET build in here. Again, this would be done automatically for you if you set it up for that. So there you go, and now we need to do the Electron build. And we can also do some smarts about this. We could run all this in one single command by using Bionic blast scripting, which is almost like a make file kind of scripting. Very simple to use, very straightforward, but we'll leave that for another video as well. And so we have Electron build and Electron serve, and that's. And now we should have the app running on Electron. And so that's Electron. The other platform available so far is Capacitor. So we're going to add again. Oops. Again, Capacitor is not available there. So let's add Capacitor. Is going to look for it at Nugget, download the necessary packages, and here we are. We should have Capacitor also available. So platform Capacitor init. Oh, and Capacitor requires two configurations. We can either, it's going to ask me in here, or I can also pass. You can do a -h in here, and you can see that it requires a -a for the app name, or a -p, and a -p for package name, Java-like packages. So we can actually do that now like this, -a, Bionic app, and -b, com bionic.app, for example. So this initializes Capacitor and the required capacitor configurations. And so as you can see, both Electron and Capacitor have NPM dependencies, so you're going to have NPM also installed in the system, but all that is described on the Bionic documentation. And so we have Bionic platform capacitor, and we have initialized capacitor. So the next thing we need to do is Android. iOS obviously does not run on Windows, so even though currently it displays iOS as an option, you're not going to be able to do anything in it, because I mean, you're going to be able to install, because Bionic is not yet removing it from the options when running on this operating system. But as we all know, iOS can only run on OS X as a simulator, so there's nothing we can do here for that platform, unfortunately. Which is something that Apple really should start looking into, allow developers from any platform to develop for iOS. But that's shame on you, Apple, kind of thing. So we have Bionic platform capacitor. Now we want to go into Android, and we want to do init for Android. And there we go. And then from Android, we can do build. And build is going to, again, same thing as you did in Electron, copy the compiled Blazor project and into the capacitor target directory. And all the commands that are not init, so all the commands that are init, you only need to do that once, because all that does is set up the project structure. And once you are in your developing mode and you want to try something in Capacitor or Electron, then you just need to compile your code as you're compiling and developing for the web, because I'm assuming you're doing something, probably a responsive app or something like that. But once you compile, all you need to do is build and then serve in the case of Electron. Or in the case of Android, or if you're in OS X or iOS as well, you just do open, and this in this case brings the Android Studio up. In OS X would bring the Xcode up. And it's basically the same thing now that you would do for any other Android app. So it's going to build. I might have to do some sync. Sometimes it requires you to go into File and do sync with Gradle files. Right now it's building. And if everything goes well, all I need to do is select. So it's already telling me in there, please select an Android SDK. If this error doesn't go away, you need to do the file in sync with Gradle files. So let's run, and there we go. It's okay. So let's get out of here and let's do a file sync project with Gradle files. We don't want to upgrade this because it's the capacitor project, and if we upgrade, we might mess up the capacitor project. So I recommend not to do it. You can always, you know, if you are using Git, commit and upgrade, and if everything is fine, great, you have an updated project. If not, you can revert back to the previous version. And in here now, we should just have to select what device we want to run the app. The command is still available to us. And we can go in here as well. We can change the color of the LO. Let's call it red. And now we can compile it in here. Of course, this will be again automatic. In the meantime, we can test the application that we already deployed. As you can see, it's working just fine. So no issues. Both iOS and Android have amazing support for WebAssembly. Now, with the latest version of iOS, WebAssembly seems to be actually pretty fast on iOS as well. And so the project is built. I can now redeploy to Android. In the case of Android, I don't need to reopen or reserve the app. So all I need to do is come back in here, just redeploy. And hopefully now I should see Bionic in red. There we go. And that's pretty much it. Of course, a lot of this stuff you would normally do in the browser itself. As you're developing, you should see these changes in here. And once you have your app ready to go, then of course it's not gonna go. Then, so that you don't have to be always redeploying this in the Android simulator to see how it is. You can in Chrome go into the dev tools and actually see this. So you can go into the dev tools, and in Chrome you'll see like it's a shame that I don't have Chrome installed in here, but you can actually see something like inspect. So let's see. So if you're developing, and so I'm going to go back to OS X in here. This should be me. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. But so if you're developing in Chrome, you should see responsive, and then you can have your own device configurations. And so, for example, if you're using a Pixel 6, 7, or 8, this should be it. And you can change between the modes and develop this in the same aspect ratio of your phone in this case. Or if you're using an iPad, the same aspect ratio of an iPad, and then you can obviously switch between landscape modes. And so that's pretty much it. Hope Windows users can now use Bionic, and if you guys have any issues, let me know. I will also do a video for Linux as soon as I can, and but it should be pretty much the same thing. And that's it. If you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to just post a question on the GitHub, or if you want, you can also come into Gitter and talk to us on Gitter. There's a channel now on Gitter called Bionic Framework, and that's it. I thought I had actually put some link in here, but I cannot recall anymore. Too many things going on. But I'll definitely put a link on the documentation soon enough to the Gitter place, or just, you know, I'm quite often also on the Blazor Gitter space. You can find me there. Put a question in there. That's fine as well. And I'll try to get to you as soon as possible. So you guys have a good night, and take it easy.